Surf Tech channel, we have a very special episode for you all today. We are going to do a full review on the Channel Islands Feb'S fish. We brought Hunter back onto the channel. This is Hunter's second time on.
What's going on, guys?
I am 5'11", 180, 185 pounds, losing some weight now. And I tested the 5'5" stock dimensions, coming in at 5'5", 20 and an eighth by 2 and 5/16 at 30.5 liters.
So I'm about 5'10", about like 145, and I rode the 5'3" stock dims.
Compared to like your short boards, where does that go literage wise? Is it a little bit more, is it a little bit less, or the same?
It's a little bit more. My standard short board's about 26.
I'm usually 31 and a half liters, and this is a full liter less than what I would normally ride. So it's pretty cool though. It's a really small board. It's the smallest board I've ridden in a long time. Overview of this board, it is a modern take on a classic fish, classic twin fin. It has a very flat deck, and then the rails kind of start tapering down, I don't know, 2 to 3 inches out. So it hides a lot of foam. Like we were saying, this is a very short board. At 5'5" and 30.5 liters, it felt and paddled just like my 31.5 liter board. It is a single to double with V out the tail, which is a pretty high performance bottom for a fish. Fishes kind of sprouted from broken longboards, so they're typically kind of flat to a V-ish bottom. This single to double with the V is just like full speed generation. It's an awesome feeling. So I do have a special board that I compared this to. I'm gonna grab it really quick. Circa 2006, 2007, I have the original Channel Islands twin fin fish. This was like a Rob Machado, Al Merrick collaboration from back in the day. And I compared them pretty extensively. The shape of them is actually pretty similar, but this definitely more modern. They shrunk it down, widened it. So this is the stock 5'6" from 2007. It's 5'6", 22 and a quarter. The rails are definitely a little bit more boxy. It doesn't start tapering down until closer to the edge. The tails were very similar. This overall had more rocker. So if you think back to like 2000s, you know, boards were a lot narrower, a lot higher rocker boards. So this was a cool step down alternative craft back then, but they definitely improved upon this original design and made it better and catered more towards the boards of today with the shorter, wider, lower rails. So remembering back when I got this board, the Channel Islands fishes were always a little bit more high performance. They surfed a lot better. Like I remember my buddy had a smaller shaper classic fish, and it was pretty flat on the bottom. The nose was really round. Like these noses are kind of pulled in towards the top. And the bottom concaves on some other guys' boards were just like a classic fish shape. And the keels were always kind of straightened out a little. So when Al Merrick and Channel Islands made these boards, they kind of added performance characteristics. They towed the fins in a little more, added that concave in the bottom, like I was saying. And I just remember riding this and then riding one of my buddy's old fishes and how much more performance this board was. Especially coming into more modern times, they're extremely relevant boards. Hunter, what fins are you riding in your 5'3"?
I'm riding the True Aim's Al Merrick keels. They feel great. I mean, I think it's pretty controlled. Obviously, like you were saying, the board is incredibly fast. It's super loose in the back, pairs up very well. It's just a little bit of an adjustment getting used to all that speed and all how loose it is in the back and just bringing that all together to ride it very well.
Yeah, so my baseline on this board, I rode it with the BFF or Brit Feb'S fish. It's a Brit Merrick template, and it's actually designed for this board. And I did some fin testing later on, and I threw in an MR template, so it's a more upright, less area template. Initially, like, still had that speed, but added a lot more pivot to the board, which wasn't always the best. It was super loose, but I could see it working really well on like a 1 to 2 foot sloppy day where the waves aren't like long and lined up walls, kind of fast breaking. I think that they would work and go really good. So I do want to mention that the MR template fin that I have is handmade in New Jersey by Unda Fins. Check him out on Instagram. I did try them also with the Brit Merrick, like that hybrid fin that they designed for the free scrubber. And that was cool. The board kind of wanted to track straighter with those, so I could see on like a bigger lined up, more hollow day, I could see those fins working a little bit better. But I think overall, either like you have the traditional Almeric keel or the BFF. I think the BFF is a really good fin for this board, and I just had to test it just to see. And then there also is a Mikey Feb'S Futures collaboration that he rides in this board. I did not get to try it, but it does look similar to the fins that you
those
have.
Ones, yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
why I got those.
kind of more raked, narrower tip keel. Yeah. So let's dive into the good things about this board. This is the fastest board, hands down, that I've ridden in a long time. And I noticed that the first wave that I took off on it, just super fast right away, immediate drive. A lot of down the line speed. You can make a lot of waves in a lot of sections that you normally wouldn't. What would you say some of the good things?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to agree with you. Like incredibly fast. Like the first time I rode it, it was like a super hollow day. Like the first wave I popped up, I was going so fast on the line. Like I went to do something, and like I just fell. Like I've never used something that fast, so it was like baffling pretty much. But it is super fast. It turns really well. And I mean, it does have a lot of paddle power.
Yeah, I agree with that. It paddles well. Like I was touching upon, this is a 5.5. I'm normally riding 5.10, 5.11 shortboard, fishier shapes, like maybe a 5.7 at the smallest. So this 5.5 paddled just as well as any of my 5.10s, which was cool. Kind of surprised myself with that. Like when you stand up with it, it's so short on you. It's like a skimboard. So that was kind of trippy. One of the most positive things, and I was talking to the owner of Eastern Lines, Don, I was giving him my initial feedback of it, and it's like, it generates speed at all areas of your surfing, like off the bottom, tons of speed. When you hit the lip, it projects and kind of slingshots you off the lip, which was really trippy. Like you're not coming up doing your turn, losing your momentum, coming down, having to regenerate. It's like pops off the lip almost and slingshots you, which was definitely something to get used to. It's a really cool feeling. It's loose through turns, surf's super loose, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have hold. Like I actually did ride this in some hollow days and tons of hold, especially down the line. That was one of my, it's not a negative, but with being so fast, like the first couple waves I got on a really hollow day, I was just way too far ahead of the barrel. I completely barrel dodged it, and I was like out on the shoulder in no time. So I started taking off deeper and deeper and deeper, and finally got a couple really good tubes. But it's trippy because you're not positioning yourself where you're used to on a wave, you know? Yeah. So there is a little bit of an adjustment.
No, I think you're right. I think it has like positives and negatives to like how fast it is, how loose it is. But I think like if you're able to even it out, it'll be a fantastic board. But it's just like figuring out how to work with both, because like you said, like taking off deeper and then figuring out where you need that speed.
It adds flavor and variety to your quiver. If you're typically riding just performance shapes, I would get on one of these and just experiment, because it makes you surf a wave a little bit differently, and it's kind of refreshing. You know, I'd probably been on this board for about a month, and this is all I've ridden in that month time frame, and it's just been cool. I've thrown like everything at it, and it handles all conditions pretty well. And you can even see, like, I know I'm not a pro, but if you watch Mikey Feb'S surf this board, he surfs it in like everything and makes it look so much fun. That's how it feels to me too, that I could just take it out and whatever and have a blast. What's like the smallest you've ridden in it, and what's the biggest?
The smallest was the other day we went out. It was like 2 foot, maybe a couple bigger sets, and then the biggest was probably like 2 to 4, couple head high sets, but nothing big, nothing super small. I mean, I've only ridden it a couple times, so. But I do want to elaborate like on what you were talking about. It's like a new variety to the quiver. I think it's great because like we focus our reviews out on the East Coast. I think it's a great board for like around here, Jersey, like New York, surfing around this area. It's very fast breaking waves. So like adding this, it's like a new variety to like experiencing a little bit more of that wave that like sometimes you're not able to. Like you can get around those sections a lot easier, get through that wave a lot quicker, and just be able to do a little bit more with the wave because of how fast it is. So I do like that a lot out of it. Even
in smaller, weaker, flatter surf, I think that like it'll go over flat sections well. Such a wide tail block that it kind of is a Swiss Army knife. I feel like it can kind of do it all, you know?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to touch upon the things that are kind of bad or can improve upon. So first, I think being so short, it doesn't give you a lot of room to move on the board. And typically, like riding longer shapes, I am moving up, like especially backside tube riding. I like to get up into the wider part of my boards. And that was not a negative, so to say. It's just an adjustment that you have to make. The board's so small, wide point's like probably around here. So it's right where your front foot, like you can see where my front foot dents are. And it's right around where the wide point is. So there isn't a lot of room to move up on it. Like backside tube riding, trying to take off, rail grab, pig dog it. The whole board just like dug and I went like that, you know? So it's just an adjustment. If you kind of realize that that's happening, you can just adjust your weight a little bit back. And I ended up making a couple backside barrels just by that slight adjustment. That being said, another negative could be like there's an adjustment period. It's gonna surf different than anything you have, I feel like.
Yeah, but I agree like with what you were saying about like how short it is. I've never ridden anything this short either. I'm very heavy on my feet when I surf, and I blame that on longboarding a bunch. I would notice like sometimes like turning wise or popping up, like I'm so heavy in my front foot or so heavy in the back foot. It would either just like totally spin around super quick from the back, or like I'd be so heavy in the front that like if the nose touches any bit of water, like it just sticks and like you're gonna fall on your face pretty much.
Yeah.
So like you were saying, like the adjustment period, it just takes a little bit of time.
It can be, like I've surfed it in super rippable surf and it felt like the best shortboard you've had, you know, like you can maneuver it. There isn't all that upfront foam. So it's you can do things that you wouldn't normally do, which is really cool. Yeah. So size range for this board, wave range, I'm saying 0 to whatever you're comfortable surfing it in. Like you could surf it on knee-high summer day, but I also feel like you could bring it out in overhead tubes and just fly on it, you know. Being so fast too, you have to take off deeper. I remember the other day when we were surfing, I was like, just go on like closeouts because you kind of have a shot of making it.
Oh,
if
yeah.
not, you like at least have a shot of pulling in and traveling, you know?
Yeah. And I remember sitting in the window watching you the other day, like taking off super deep and like you pop up and the thing just flies down the line. So yeah, you do have like a lot of ample opportunity pretty much to just catch up or like get past those meteor sections because of how like insanely quick the board is.
Sizing it for custom dims, go 3 to 6 inches shorter, about 1/4 to 3/8 wider, and then 1/8 to 3/16 thinner on the thickness, and I think that you'll have great success with it. Less experienced surfers or surfers that want to surf it in strictly mushy, weak conditions and have it in your quiver as a fish, I would say go like a liter or 2 more than what you're typically riding. But there's also no problems with going a liter less. Like there's a wide range and it all depends on what you want. Being honest, like getting this for my quiver, I would stick with the stock 5.5. I feel like I could ride it in anything. Overall, absolutely love this board. Highly recommend it.
I agree. I love the board and I can't wait to ride it more.
Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, we appreciate your support. We'd appreciate if you'd subscribe. Give a like, give a thumbs up to us, and in the comments, we'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on classic fish designs. Big thank you to Eastern Line Surf Shop and Dean Schoonover. This board is actually Dean's personal board to sample around and had the courtesy. Dean, thank you for letting us use this board. And huge thanks to Eastern Lines for getting us on these boards. Big thank you to Hunter for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Big thank you to Morgan Downs, always doing the magic behind the lens. See you on the next one.